Greetings and salutations, folks. Today at the Once Laboratory, we'll be going over the 11 character actors and I guess they would be cast members, cast members of Saturday Night Live. Literally hundreds of them probably at this point, from the 70s to modern day, and we're going to nail down the 11 that are the best. So, fasten your lap belts, tighten your chin strap, and we'll see how this goes. These are in no order whatsoever because there's such a varied prominence of different things that they could have done. You know, there's some that are obviously better than others, but for the most part, this is just going to be a listing of people in no particular order. So, number 1, or 11 as it were, is easy. It should make everybody's list because Eddie Murphy is one of the masters. Oh, man. And I'm going to relate a lot of these people to the impressions they did because that's the most impressionable thing that they got left on us. Some of them had memorable skits. Some of them, their impressions were, if you look at Dana Carvey, for example, everything he did was, weird, wild stuff. Carson, which I cannot do, clearly. That as opposed to, and then he also had like that stupid church lady that I hated, so some of his characters were kind of both, but some people were known for one and some others. But nevertheless, I'm going to relate a lot to the impressions. And this dude doing Cosby, James Brown, get in the hot tub, that's just classic. Buckwheat obviously is pretty funny. I liked it when he did Stevie Wonder, Mr. T. He did a funny Mr. T because he's so small, But Eddie Murphy, obviously, number 10. Number 10. I'm putting Norm Macdonald down because Norm Macdonald is one of the greatest. I think it's M-A-C. Is it Macdonald or McDonald like the restaurant? I think it's Macdonald. Yeah, it's Macdonald. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Norm Macdonald. You ever see him do Tommy Lee? He's got all the tats and the piercings and everything. It's just great. You can't not watch that and not love his Burt Reynolds because it's just hilarious. And he's got the huge hat and all that stuff, and the stuff where they did, the Trebek and all that. It's just awesome. But he also did a really good Tarantino, Bob Dole. For years he was Bob Dole. During that political cycle, and also, what was the other? Larry King. He did a really good Larry King, but Norm Macdonald got kind of a raw deal, as did Jim Brewer, their time there, but phenomenal actors and comedians. My next, number 9, is Kristen Wiig. I think she's delightful in everything. She has quite the repertoire because she could do so many different things, and she didn't really have a ton of people that she did. I liked her Jamie Lee Curtis with Activity commercials, and she did a good Kathy Lee and all that stuff and all. But she did those. She had her own characters that were pretty good. That surprise lady where she's like, oh my God. That whatever the heck that character was. I mean, she just had some really cool stuff on there, and I thought she was really. She did a lot of varied things. She could do just about anything, and she was a mainstay on there for those years that she was involved. And all her movies are pretty good. She's a funny lady. My next one should come as no surprise, and that's the great Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell is an institution when you talk about SNL. You can't talk about that show without that dude. He was just such an integral part of it. His Dr. Phil. I got Alex Trebek. His James Lipton was hilarious. I love the skit where he's yelling at his son from the stands. He's like, "Get on the bag, Brandon! Brandon, get on the bag!" I think there were like 2 iterations of that skit and all. I think that was pretty funny. He's just always funny. Harry Carey. I didn't know who Harry Carey was, but that was a great character, and all. But I think his James Lipton might have been his best one, but really good. Will Ferrell, number 8. Number 7. I'm moving in with the great Chris Farley, from Matt Foley's Van skits and all that. SNL they have a thing with beating dead horses at times. Okay, there were some rough years there. That Toonces the Driving Cat. Oh my God! Like, who thought that was funny? That kind of crap. That Rachel Dratch when she did Debbie Downer, wasn't a fan. I didn't like Pat. What's her name that did Pat? That was never funny. It's like, it's clearly a woman, first of all. But no, that wasn't funny. But they keep doing it. The church lady was the same thing. It's like, what? Okay, she's going to say Satan. And then, there was like a couple little patterns. It was never funny, but you saw it coming from a million miles away because it was just a formulaic way of trying to do comedy. And, Chris Farley really wasn't as part of that. I love his Chippendales thing with, what's his name from Roadhouse? What's his name from Roadhouse? What's the guy from Roadhouse? Not Roadhouse 2. If you've never seen Roadhouse 2, don't. Man, I can't remember. I got Val Kilmer in my head, and that's clearly not who was in it. Patrick Swayze. Yes, I knew it would come to me. Yes. Yeah, Chris Farley. He's just awesome, man. And I didn't include, surprise, surprise, John Belushi. I don't think he was on there long enough, and I think everything he did, Farley did better, And I love John Belushi. Don't get me wrong. Neighbors. I think that's such a great underrated movie. I didn't like Continental Divide. But I don't think you can have Belushi and Farley on there, and Farley just did more stuff than he did. And if you ever heard him do Schwarzkopf, that was pretty good too. So, my next one, as mentioned, I love Jim Brewer. I think his stand-up, he's probably one of my favorite stand-up dudes because he just tells such a great story. And I love how he talks with his body and just makes all these sound effects and loud noises and all that stuff. And I loved Heavy Metal Guy that he would do. Not because I'm a fan of the music, but just because he'd come out there and he just did this awesome, like Rob Halford, like, I can't even do it. My voice doesn't go that high. But Goat Boy obviously was pretty funny. I loved his Joe Pesci. He did a great Joe Pesci. He got a really bad raw deal on that show, and he's talked about it at length. Lorne Michaels is kind of a douche with how he runs stuff, and I get it that he, parlayed this little, thing into this huge thing. But they've had some rough years over the years. It hasn't always been, roses and everything, but he doesn't seem to sway with how he does. He doesn't pay the people well enough. They work their butts off, and it's tough to get in there. Other people steal your stuff, like senior writers and all that. If you've got a good idea, they'll snipe it from you and all that crap. It's kind of crappy, but anyway, it has been a mainstay for most of my life, so it is just something. I used to watch Saturday Night Live and Headbangers Ball. They came on at the same time, 11:30 to 1 on the East Coast, and I would record one, watch the other, flip back and forth. MTV was channel 27 and NBC was channel 12, and just back and forth, and that's just what I did on Saturday nights. Number 5, Bill Hader. I love Bill Hader. And if you haven't seen Barry, the show he does, great show, it really is. But Bill Hader, Vinny Veducci, and I love that character. It's so stupid, but it's so funny. This like Cuban dude that like smokes 800 cigarettes while he talks. But I guess he's Cuban. Is he Cuban? Or is it? No, he's Italian. Vinny Veducci. Yeah, he's Italian. My apologies to the Cuban people listening. But yeah, dude, great Pacino, great Alan Alda. He does a good James Carville, as if that needed to be done. But there's nothing that Bill Hader does that is not just perfect. I mean, he's great. And he's awesome in movies too. The Skeleton Crew that he did with Kristen Wiig. I think it was Kristen Wiig. Yeah, it was Kristen Wiig. He's just a great actor and a great talent. My next one, Phil Hartman. Phil Hartman, gone too soon, killed by his girl, shot in like the neck, the face, the heart, the penis, like he got lit up, man. But a little bit of rage there, a little domestic rage as they call it. But Phil Hartman, he was on there for a long time and did your Clintons, your Reagans. He did a great Sinatra. I loved his what was it called? The Anal Retentive Chef, where he would like all his scraps and everything. It was really neat, and it was so stupid, but it was funny. But really good guy that was on there for so long, and was a huge reason why some of those years sucked, because you had like Victoria Jackson, Ellen Cleghorn, and some weaker characters. I never was a fan of John Lovitz. I think they overlapped. It's hard to remember because there's so much going on, but Phil Hartman, to me, kind of kept the ship alive through some of those rougher years. Number 3, I'm putting down is David Spade. I love David Spade's humor. I love the dryness with which he distributes it to the masses. And I loved his Hollywood Minute. I loved his, what was it called? Spade in America. Those were funny. He didn't get as many big parts in sketches. I think what they used him more for were those like Hollywood Minutes where you could clearly see his stand-up was just really, really sharp. And he kept on top of, I love people that make fun of celebrities, especially when celebrities do it. And he did that. He knocked that crap out of the park. So that was really good. All right, I got 2 more. And the next one is Kenan Thompson. Not only the longest tenured person on the entire staff. He's been there second to Lorne, I guess. He's been on there like 13, 15 years, something like that. But I love LeVar Ball, the Big Baller brand. I love his Charles Barkley. His Steve Harvey's probably his best. He knows, okay, player, okay, player. I love how he talks that, and it just over-exaggerates everything that's funny about Steve Harvey. All his game shows, he's just a great game show host for all those things that are on there. And he's just got a funny way of delivering stuff. And lastly, and again, in no particular order, it is not Dana Carvey. Dana Carvey, kind of a hack compared to what, he did a couple good impersonations and all, but his sketches sucked. I wasn't a fan. But Darrell Hammond, on the other hand, I think a much better impressionist, and he was on there just as long, if not longer, with all that. He did his Regis, the Sean Connery, he did an awesome Clinton. He did a pretty good dang Trump, but they just switched and went with Baldwin, which Baldwin was great, don't get me wrong. But Darrell Hammond, if I had to narrow it down, Dana Carvey just wasn't it for me. So those are mine: Eddie Murphy, Norm Macdonald, Kristen Wiig, Will Ferrell, Chris Farley, Jim Brewer, Bill Hader, Phil Hartman, David Spade, Kenan Thompson, and Darrell Hammond. I had Amy Poehler and Tina Fey were probably up next. There's just not as many funny females on that show for whatever reason. I like Sherry O'Terry. I thought she was pretty funny. Her and Will Ferrell did a lot of cool stuff together. So that is my list of my favorite SNL cast members, as they're referred to. And this is, like I promised, a pretty short video, relatively speaking. It's at 12:54. Giddy up.